All right, this is going to be a bit of a touchy subject for entrepreneurs, so just FYI, we're going to talk about mental health and entrepreneurship today. This is probably the most under talked about thing you'll ever hear. Anytime you go to conferences for business or entrepreneurs, they're always focused on success. They get all the big people up on stage. Here is my success. Here's what I've accomplished. Here's what I've done. Yay, rah, me. So that is so common. We see that all the time. Uh, Understand that behind all that, there's stress, there's anxiety, there are lots and lots of challenges. Okay, so the first thing that you're going to face when you get into entrepreneurship is realizing you'll come to this fast realization that entrepreneurship is really the greatest self-improvement course you'll ever take, because to be an entrepreneur will push every aspect of your life. One, it's going to push your time because you're going to have a bazillion things you got to get done to keep growing and success and moving. Two, it's going to make you think through your priorities in life as well as what you do with your day, because you've got to get things done for your business. You're going to evaluate relationships with people. You're going to, because again, if they're not helping you contribute to the business, then you maybe don't talk to those people anymore. Dealing with like hobbies and civic stuff and other things sometimes can get in the way. And a lot of people just cut all of that out until their business can really grow and get to a really nice spot. And then they'll start to put those things back in. It is the way it is. I'm not saying that's the best way to do things. In fact, I think it's a ineffective in the long run way to do things, but that's a popular way to do it. So realize that your mental health is a big problem. Okay, if you're running a business or you're in like independent sales and you don't have those days that just feels like, why did I get out of bed? Why didn't I just stay in bed today? Then you're not working hard enough. You need those are good days to have, really, because they help us question things, challenge stuff, help us refocus ourselves and decide, are we moving forward or are we going sideways? We're going to go to something else. That gets you thinking. If you move forward, you will start to find new ways of doing things, new opportunities, new resources to help you in reaching the goals you have. So I often find in my own self as an entrepreneur, when you have those moments where things feel like they're falling apart, usually there's a loss of vision. There's a loss of cohesiveness in what you're doing. You're just kind of going through the motions. You're just doing what needs to be done, but you're not maintaining the vision. And so those are good times to go, man, I need to refocus myself, get back in the vision. And now, oh my gosh, I could do it this way, this way, this way. These opportunities have now come up. I'm moving forward. And it makes an impact. It makes a big difference in what you're doing. So this is a very important thing for you to think through, okay? You're going to have those days. You're going to struggle. You are going to have days where you feel like you're on top of the world and like you just have tons of sales coming in. Everything is amazing. It's awesome. Everything's working great. You're going to have other days where you're going to go, what just happened? I feel like I got run over by a Mack truck. Nothing went right. What's crazy is when you have a morning that's one way and the evening's a whole other way, you get this whiplash going on. It's hard. It's tough. You're going to question your integrity. You're going to question who you really are. You are going to go through a lot. So just realize that. That's part of entrepreneurship, is really understanding deep inside who you are. So sometimes you have to work through your own demons, your own challenges as you be an entrepreneur. And as you grow in entrepreneurship, you're going to face new challenges and it's going to push you more. So understanding yourself is very important. And realize it happens. No successful entrepreneur gets to where they are without emotional scars. Not a one of them. You can read all the biographies you want and they can put all the happy paint over it they want. The reality is there are days where they were in tears. There are days where they hated life. There are days where they may even contemplated ending their life. There are days where they got hosed over by suppliers or partners or other people. There are days where they felt customers were ripping them off. There are days where they just felt like nothing could go right. And you sometimes have to get talked. You have to have a pep talk to get back on that horse and keep riding, to get back in the saddle, to move forward with your business. This stuff happens. It happens all the time. It is one of the challenges that you have. And if you have if you have investors in your business, then there's a whole nother level of anxiety that you get to deal with. Oh man, it gets a little crazy sometimes. There's good. I'm not trying to say having investors is bad. They actually are a very big help, but you got to be real careful about when to use them. And the best time to use an investor is when you are growing, not when you're trying to grow. So get your business to a point where it's starting to move, then the investors put gas on the fire. Okay? That's what the investors do not light the fire, and they do not stoke the fire. They put gas on the fire. So you need to get the fire going, you need to get it burning strong, then they'll come in and make it big. So that's very, very important. Okay? Again, I think a couple of videos ago I talked about that with investors. If you believe I'm going to get an investor who's going to give me, $400,000 for my idea, and then I'm going to sit back and let them run it, and I'm just going to be a part of this process. No. Your idea, you'll be lucky to get $100,000 for that kind of an idea. You might be like, but that's not a lot of money to run it. I know, but he's going to invest the other $300,000 into running the whole darn thing for you. So again, the best way to do it is get your business to a point where it's growing. You've got a successful opportunity and it's moving forward well. Then investors put the fire on. They put the gas on the fire and it takes off. That'll help a lot. So just be careful with your mental health too. Take time for breaks. Take time for vacation. If you have a family, make sure you take time for family. If you have like a church or some kind of organization that helps you socially and mentally, take time for that. Even if you have a million things to do in your business, take time for yourself. Exercise, eat right, do those things to help you out, because all of that will help you be a better entrepreneur, and then you can then bring your best to the game. So just watch out for mental health. There's so many challenges, so many issues that you can face, and realize that stress, even though you think stress is only in your head, it's just stuff you're worrying about in your head. What you don't realize is that imaginary stress that you have, remember, I think a couple of videos ago we talked about two different kinds of stress. That imaginary stress that you will put on yourself, you think it's only in your head. The problem is your head is connected to the rest of your body. Your body follows what your head does. If your head is thinking we're in a tight, crazy situation, your body will jump into fight or flight. That is an inflammatory response. Okay, it should only be fight or flight is inflammatory to the rest of your body, and it's something that should be activated for a short period of time. Again, you're either running away from a problem to get to safety and calm, or you're going to fight your way through the problem to get to safety and calm. The problem with today's society is that stress can be very imaginary and self-imposed and never goes away. So you never leave the fight or flight. That just means chronic inflammatory issues in your body. Chronic inflammatory issues, even if it was started by mental issues, will lead to heart disease, dementias, diabetes, cancers, MS, Hashimoto's, PCOS, all kinds of stuff that can happen to you. And you just get this degradation. You start to get negative self-talk. You start getting things happening. Your diet goes down. You stop exercising. There's this trickle-down effect that'll happen. And so the stress will cause problems. Okay, stress automatically increases your blood pressure. So if you already have some blood pressure issues, stress is just going to make it even worse. So learn to relax. Learn to relax through the chaos is the way I like to phrase it. I really like Bruce Lee's idea of be like water. Water just is what it needs to be for that time. So you don't need to stress about what's happening. It's going to conform and adjust to what needs to be there. So it takes the shape of any object it's put into, basically. So if you just relax through the situation, then that'll help you a lot more, make a big difference. But just realize that, okay? And if you're an entrepreneur, looking forward to the comments. Let's have a conversation about what are those emotional issues you're dealing with? What are the emotional scars that you have from that? I've had some crazy experiences in my life. I've had I have to admit, I don't think I've ever had a good partnership ever really work. I see people that they partner up and they build these big businesses, they do great and they're best friends and everything's awesome and they do wonderful. I've never had that. Even with friends, I've never had that. I've always had a challenge with them. Could it be me? It could be. I could be the one that's not fitting in with them, and so I get pushed out. Uh, I, I I don't know. I don't know. I could be working with people who are not the right people for the kind of deal that we're doing. And I have to admit that I could be part of the problem. In fact, I had a business that I started. It was an idea that I had. I started it. I brought in a bunch of friends. So they had passion for this, but none of them had skill to do what we needed them to do in the business. And we spent 2 years working on that business. I don't think a single sale happened. Now I made one sale. I got so sick and tired of this sales not happening for that business that I just went out and did it. I just went out and made a sell. I made it my own brochure and I went out and made a sell. And I brought it back and went, there's a sell. We have a customer. And they went, oh my gosh, okay, we got because everybody's like, well, we don't have to do anything until we have a customer. We're not putting anything in place till we have a customer. So I went out and got a customer and they're like, oh crap, now we got to do something. And it all fell apart. It just wasn't working. It was a great weekly 2-hour discussion with friends about a cool idea we could do, but we never really got it off the ground. We never really put it into play. So when I finally realized that, I realized that the single fundamental mistake that the business had was I hired the wrong people to be on the board, to be that team, the partners to get it going. And so I made the fatal mistake. My opinion was very different from everybody else's opinion on there. Most of them agreed with what they wanted to do. I was the odd man out. Even though I started it, I was the owner, the CEO of the company. I was the odd man out, and so I resigned from that company. I hated leaving it. I spent 2 years trying to grow it, and it just didn't go anywhere. And I just went, after 2 years of trying, of talking and discussing, we're not going anywhere. It's time to move on. So I did. I resigned from the business and I left. And I think they maybe met for another year or so and then they just stopped meeting. It just never really turned into a business. They all talked themselves out of it eventually. Or kind of justified why they were not going to do it anymore. But I moved on to do other things. And sometimes that happens. I've been voted out of businesses that I started the business, basically. I was the founder and got it going and then voted out. It's just crazy how things work out sometimes. I was in one business and we had like 15 partners, like considered founding partners. The one guy it was somebody else's idea, not my idea, but he had brought in like 15 people as the founding members of the group. And so it was totally a managed by committee problem. And man, managed by committee is terrible. That stuff's terrible. That's emotional problems just by itself, managing by committee. Oh man, it was bad. So I finally resigned from that one too. I'm like, we're not going anywhere. We can't make it a single decision. There's too many conflicting opinions and people trying to say my opinion's right, instead of going, how do we mesh this together and make this work? It's hard. Dealing with people is hard. And they're a common source of emotional and mental anguish for an entrepreneur. That's for sure. Man, but just take care of yourself, okay? That's an important thing to do. You are the number one asset for your business. And so if you don't take care of yourself, you are draining and ruining your number one asset for your business. So I look forward to going through the comments. Thanks for the comments in our past videos. I love the conversations we're having. So let's keep this going forward. How are you handling the stress and the anxieties and challenges you have in business? And let us know what are some of the things that you are, what have you suffered? What have you experienced in entrepreneurship? What are your emotional scars? And how can we improve from there? I've had businesses, just crazy economic times is stress by itself, let alone partners stress, or if you have spousal stress or family stress or other things on top of that, it's crazy, so crazy. So as entrepreneurs, we're asked to do some pretty Herculean things to try to get our businesses going with no immediate reward in sight. It's pretty crazy. You got to love entrepreneurship to keep doing this. You really do, because it's like being in the ring and you're the out of you and your opponent, you're the less effective of them, and they just keep pounding you, and you just keep getting back up and going back in there. That's kind of entrepreneurship to an extent, is getting up, keep getting up. You get knocked down, you get back up one more time. So long as you get up one more time than you fall down as an entrepreneur, you will eventually have success. Granted, that does mean, even a blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while, or, even a dead clock is right twice a day. Success will eventually go, I give up. Here's your success, basically. But it's a long, hard fight to get there. If you ever want to feel good about yourself, just watch the movie Rudy and realize what Rudy Rudiger had to go through to get to where he is at today. He's a great motivational speaker. He has some awesome stories to tell, great message to help people out with. But man, he went through years and years and years and years and years of pain. And for him, that was his lifetime at the time to go through that, to get to that point. So it's a challenge. It's just how it works out. But success can come and will come. You've got to always be standing up one more time than you fall down. Thanks, guys. We'll see you in the next one.